Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Football Index Fantasy Football Agency. Agents, what do you want to call it? FIFA is what I like to call it. Okay, now this is the first episode where we've not had a match day to kind of look back on and talk about dividends captured or games played or anything like this, which is interesting kind of change of pace. So we're going to be calling this episode day one of the pre-season warm up or whatever. So as we've discussed in the last couple of episodes, we've been making a bit of an effort to get the squad ready for the season ahead. Okay, and we've brought in Leon Goretzka into midfield, and then we've managed to actually shuffle around the formation to actually make it look like a 4-3-3. Okay, so overall, guys, we're really happy with how the team is sitting right now. We have a lot of excess profit in the squad, which we'll probably be looking to release out at a certain stage, depending on when the price is right for certain positions, and I'll go on to chat about that in a second. But even if you're not following this kind of strategy, guys, of laying it out like a fantasy football team and whatever else, you should be getting your portfolio into the same sort of mindset where you look at your positions. And with all the stuff that's going on, guys, if you're not buying players, Football Index can get a tad boring if your portfolio is lock stock and you're really happy with everything. But it's taking a deep breath, like I've been saying quite a lot in the last couple of videos, and just realising the reason that I can't justify selling any of these people because I'm really happy with the position they're in and I see further growth. So sometimes having a new position that you've identified and buying it is really exciting, and especially then when they run away and have a good increase off the back of that. But sometimes, guys, it's just biding your time. It's just holding the patience out there and making sure that you're not doing anything silly just for the sake of anything that you could probably class as being vain, because the thing about Football Index is we all love to share, and maybe not, I don't, it's not something I do regularly, if at all, but in terms of the community, especially on Twitter and whatever, everyone's dying to share a screenshot of a player they've got up to X amount percent, or some unknown player nobody's heard of that they've had since they were 5 pence a share, now they're 25 pence, and this type of thing. And you need to really get your head out the mindset of that's what success looks like. What success looks like is calculating your portfolio and making sure that you're making profit. Now, what we do on the channel is we have a few different strategies running, and I'm probably going to be debuting another strategy in our series that we'll be running later on in the week. I'm just trying to work out exactly where the money's going to come from to generate it, and a good starting point to launch the video with. Okay, so I'll come back to that with you at some point later this week. Okay, but with the players we've got there now, so again, if you're running a strategy like this, or you're thinking about running a strategy like this for next season, you've watched the success I've had this year, and I know there's another YouTube channel that's doing something similar. But when I started this, guys, the whole point of it was being the ultimate version of fantasy football. Okay, now if you like fantasy football and it's something that you do to any degree of success, over the last couple of years or whatever, you'll know as well as I do that when the new season starts, all the players are updated. Okay, so for example, we're holding on to Kante now at 46 pence a share, right? With Frank Lampard, or anyone but Sarri being at Chelsea, Kante is going to go back to his position. So Kante is not going to be worth 46 pence, after we've had a game or two of next season. He's going to be worth, I would suggest, a damn sight more than that. So if you were a fantasy football player, Kante, you might be looking at last year, and he might have been relatively cheap because Sarri wasn't really doing his thing with him. But this year, with a new manager, he'll be relatively expensive again, But the point of this is you can hold players in multiple leagues for as long as you want for your fantasy football, if you like, in inverted commas, So you're not restricted to just one league, and you're not restricted to just holding them for one season. You can hold them as long as you want, which is why some guys like Kante, like Sangaré, like Alaba, especially that kind of core we've got in the middle of that group, we're not really in any rush to move them on. Now, you might be sitting there listening to this thinking, hold on, I thought the whole point of this was IPDs, and a big angle of this is IPDs, right? But if you've been on the index for any period of time where you've seen the swing somebody can have off the back of having a good match day, is the IPD is just a drop in the water. It's just a drop in the pond. Like if you're holding somebody, let's say for example, opening day of the season, Kante scores, makes an assist, gets man of the match, right? You might not win any PB that day, you know, best midfielder or best player or whatever. But the fact that he's won those 2 IPDs and he's played really well and it looks good for him going forward, his price will raise up by more than that 2 pence that you've missed out on by having the IPD. So the stage of the strategy that we're at there now, we've got ourselves into a fantastic position because, as you'll recall, when I've mentioned it too many times, I'm not going to recap it in full, but we started this strategy kind of on the hop and at a bad point, you know, so we played a bit of catch up for the back part of the season there. We made some decisions that weren't too hot, and it's a great learning tool, some of these older videos, guys, for the Football Index Fantasy Football, to go back and have a look at that and see how you work through match days and good points to buy players and good points to sell, bad points, that type of thing. But we're happy to hold all these players right the way through, okay? So if we have a look at the portfolio, just giving you a quick glance through in terms of the fantasy football players. So we had to get on Goretzka. We quick sold our Jovanovic to get on him because he was just rising and rising and rising. And you know, Jovanovic has had a nice rise. We've probably lost out on a little bit of profit, but it doesn't bother me too much because I've got on Goretzka at a great price, and I think he's only going to continue to grow. Leal's hovered between 144 and 143 since we've bought him. That's solid, you know. Stark we've been topping up on. Guerrero, he's been pretty stable since we bought him. Kramaric we've been topping up on. We originally were picking up Kramaric for like 66, 65 pence, and we had like 20 of them, 30 of them. And we've been slowly but surely chasing his rise, you know, so he's been doing really well for us. And I don't know why there's not been any serious links, and you know, I think there will be some links coming for him because Hoffenheim are not in Europe. They've lost their manager, and this guy was just stellar last year, as we all know. De Gea has been floating between 68 and 72 pence. Sanger was very stable for a long time, and recently he's had a little pop in the last week or so. He's jumped up a nice little percentage, which is cool. And again, for somebody who's got such amazing stats in Ligue 1 and playing for a team like Toulouse, who are definitely a selling team, I'm surprised there's not been any movement transfer spec wise on this guy yet. Pepe, you know everything you need to know about Pepe, don't need me to tell you. Then we've got Alaba, who was very stable around the kind of level he's been at, and then he's took a bit of a pop up in the last month, in the last week really, from 72, 73 pence back up to 79. Kante is slowly but surely, and again you look at Kante's graph, it doesn't get any lower than really 44 pence. I know it says 42 there, but you're not really going to see him any lower than 44, 45. And again, he's making a gradual increase now that Sarri's gone. And Denzel Dumfries did okay in the Nations League. You know, it's good to see he started. Man United's been linked to him recently, and yeah, he's in a good position, you know, for where he's at. And if he moves to a qualifying league, then again, this is one of the things about fantasy football that are doing this like fantasy football that makes it better than real fantasy football, is if you can catch somebody before they move to the league and qualify for fantasy football in air quotes, then you're getting them much cheaper than what they would be when they're in that league and they're eligible for it, if that makes sense, if you're able to do that in fantasy football, which of course you're not. So what we've did, guys, for the video, the kind of highlight of the show today is the P&L that we've got. Okay, so we look back at the last 10 match days. I've did all my calculations as I go, and the total outlay that we've had on this strategy is £435.20, okay? Our current market value as of recording right now is £541.05. When we minus 2%, so if we were to liquidate the portfolio by market selling it all right now, we would net £5.30 and £530, I beg your pardon, and 23 pence. We've also earned dividends of £9.84, which has been dispersed throughout the portfolio as an entity, you know, just as and when. There's another 40 pence, and you know, we've kind of topped it up in bits and pieces. And so you then take your total outlay. Take your total value, right? So the 530.23 plus the dividends gives us 540 and 7 pence. We then minus that from the outlay, and that gives us £104.87, which is 24% profit over a 10-week period, okay? And there's been plenty of mistakes in that, guys. And like I said at the kind of initial end of season recap, this first little segment of the series that we've covered from the videos to date, we've not done this strategy perfectly. It's been us cutting our teeth. It's been us finding out good ways and bad ways, when's good, when, you know, to kind of activate this strategy and make the most of it, guys, okay? So to be about 25% is a fantastic place to be, and I only see that growing as the weeks and months roll on, okay? So for the next episode coming Tuesday, you'll probably remember as well, on the last episode, I showed you the transfer targets of who we were looking at, and there was another player or two that were... So we've kind of had to restructure the team now, so we're at 4-3-3, so we'll move Guerrero back to being a defender. And yeah, so that works out okay for us. So we're still kind of eyeing up a few different bits and pieces. The defence I'm not quite set on. We might sell some of these guys because they're in great positions of profit. Can we find someone else to go for? And yeah, we're just kind of analysing the team and thinking about the season ahead. Who's got the potential to have a good season? Who's getting overlooked on the index, which is a very important thing when there's a lot of activity and a lot of growth. There will always be players that are overlooked. And then it's just trying to catch them at the right time, you know. And I think when you see guys like the rise that Goretzka's had, like the rise that Kramaric has had, there is slow, steady movement for IPD players that have been underpriced or are currently underpriced, you know. So it's about getting those guys identified and trying to snap them up as early as you can. We sold as well some, we quick sold 10 of our Tyler Adams, which was still making us some profit, and we quick sold 10 Kiana Hoover as well, and we went and started to, I'll just show you the transactions, we went and started to pick up some Mukiele. We sold some Gaston Pereiro, as I mentioned to you in a previous video before, and we went and picked up some Klosterman. Okay, but we're also, now that Pereiro's back up to 71 pence, we're looking to sell some of him, and we've been eyeing up and eyeing up and eyeing up, and I wish I just bought him. I wish I just bought him first. I'm kind of digressing, I'm not really talking about fantasy football anymore, but this guy's just rising and rising. He's just getting more expensive and more expensive, and I just need to try and get my hands on him to put him in the Leipzig collection. So yeah, we're just doing some different bits and pieces now. And then the wee boy here, DeMarco, was a tip that came to me. And so what I did, guys, this is a little kind of a wee footnote for you, right? So I quick sold, you see I was picking up some DeMarco, right? I quick sold 10 Hoover, right? And I quick sold 10 Adams, right? So what I then done was I worked backwards and I said, right, how much profit have I thrown away by quick selling, okay? So I could have market sold the Adams for 75 pence, we quick sold them for 73. So we've lost 2 pence a share times 10, 20 pence. And then at the time, we quick sold him for 112, I think it just said there. So where is it? We quick sold him for 112, and his buy price must have been 115, 116. So again, we worked out how much we've thrown away, something like 40 pence, and we've then equated that into a percentage for DeMarco. So I've worked out my break even for DeMarco, including covering the 2% sell price, is 5%. So when I'm making a drastic, sudden impulse move like that, what I'm doing is I'm factoring in the profit I've forfeited on the position that I've released to get into this opportunity now with this guy here, DeMarco. It was just a wee tip somebody gave me. He did well the other night for Italy. His scored rating was decent, and he's young enough and playing for a mediocre enough team, might transfer, might get a link or whatever. But I thought that was a little lesson, a wee point we could share on the video today is when you're quick selling somebody who is in profit and you're quick selling for profit, there's nothing really that wrong with it if you're moving into another position where you can recoup the money that you have thrown away very quickly and then look to make additional profit on top of that. So if Adams and Kiana Hoover go backwards or stagnate, and this guy, say, jumps up to 43 pence, then all the money he's earning from really 39.5 pence onwards is all profit that those two wouldn't have made me, and that money has worked, while that money with Kiana Hoover and Tyler Adams has stagnated, so that money's then worked. And then what I could do, I don't know what I'm going to do, but what I could do is sell DeMarco and then put that money back into those two guys, and then, you know, we've made money from every angle possible. Okay, guys, so a wee bit of a ramble towards the end, guys. I just like to keep these in the loop. I like to be as transparent as possible. But if you're thinking about running a strategy like this, it's a great opportunity to try and find those overlooked players who are good IPD players, or people who have not been linked with a transfer at all, but you could see it happening. They've maybe went under the radar for one reason or another. And even Forsberg, somebody who was thinking about picking up for the Leipzig thing, but even him, look at that in the last month. You know, some of these, the movement in the market is starting to happen, guys, where these guys are starting to get picked up again, regardless of their age, regardless of all these other things. And if you snooze, you lose. If all your focus is on transfers and media, it will come closer and closer to the beginning of the season, and you'll be holding a portfolio that's not really going to be doing too much for you in terms of transfer stuff. And also, guys, we're trying to mitigate against any potential decline in the market post promotion. And I think the best way of doing that is having these little sneaky guys that are just slowly but surely growing and growing and growing. These guys, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm just using this as an example because I've seen his name. Where is he? Oh, I've lost him now. He was here a second ago. I'll just search him if I don't see him. It was Diop at West Ham. There he's there. So somebody like this, if this transfer doesn't go through to Man United, this guy is not going to hold in price. You know, if he stays at West Ham, he is not going to hold at 98 pence a share. If he does go to Man United, different story. But again, you know, you need to be aware of who you're holding, why they're that price, and are they really worth that price? You know, and finding an opportunity to sell. Okay, guys. Thanks very much for tuning into the video. I very much appreciate it. I'm sorry for the last 5 minutes of rambling. If you've tuned in to watch that little bit at the end, I hope it made some sense to you, and there's a lesson in there or something that you've not thought about that you can make some use out of. If you're new around here, guys, and you've liked everything that you've seen on the video today, comments, guys, in the last couple of weeks and month have been absolutely stellar, honestly. A lot of support coming from you guys. It means so much to me, so keep them coming. Thanks very much. Subscribe to the channel. If you find me on Twitter, please like and retweet and stuff like that, guys, because it just then means more people see the tweet, and if more people see the tweet, they might find the video, and if they find the video, we can grow this little segment of the community. And the chats that we have in the comment section, guys, are second to none. I'll watch a lot of YouTube videos about other things as well as Football Index. I try and watch other people who make Index videos as well. And the comment section on my videos, and I'm not saying this to blow my own trumpet, but they are the best comments on Football Index YouTube, bar none. Okay, guys, so keep them rocking and rolling. Hope the portfolio's doing well for you. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.